Bree Elrod, welcome to An Actor Despairs. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Amazing to have you here. You were
Thank
so
you.
amazing in Red Rocket. I was
Thank
looking
you.
forward to that film for so long.
Thank you.
Like, Sean Baker's obviously incredible, but you stood out to me like a fucking lightning bolt. You were
Thank
incredible and so good. And then, like, we find out we have 5,000
I know.
mutual. It's like,
Small world.
I mean, in the most odd, like, old job, you know. But
I know.
I'm just so proud of you, and I'm
you.
so curious to learn more and celebrate you.
Well, thank
and
you.
yeah, thank you for being here.
I'm excited to be here. It's fun to be on this wild Red Rocket ride, and I've just been savoring every second of it.
I mean, it's been from Cannes till now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
from Cannes. I know. Even just that.
How did
I'm like,
that
oh,
feel? Let
that's
me
right.
ask you.
Well, surreal, you know, because
Yeah.
we did this in the middle of COVID, in the height of COVID. It was very
This meaning the
film,
shoot.
the shoot, and it was precarious. You know, the stakes were high. No one could get it, or else we'd probably have to shut down the shooting of it because
Yeah.
it was such a low budget that we weren't able to, just say, okay, everybody go for 2 weeks and quarantine. No, we had to. So we were testing all the time. Everyone was masked. Everyone had their own space. People drove their own vehicles. And so. It was kind of a miracle that this thing was even made, So the fact that all of a sudden I'm getting an audio message from Sean Baker saying, we've been accepted into the main competition at the Cannes Film Festival. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is amazing.
Yeah.
It was very surreal. I played that like 4 times just to think, I was like, is this real? Is this happening? Is this real life?
I'm still waiting
Yeah.
for that day. I mean,
it'll
the
happen.
show's called An Actor Despairs. So
I know. I
hopefully
love
one
the
day
name
it'll
of
be,
this show.
But let's
Yeah.
start from the beginning. Where did you grow up?
Grew up in Topeka, Kansas.
Okay.
Born and raised. I'm a 7th generation Kansan. So my roots are deep in the state of Kansas.
Your brother Carson is an
Carson,
actor
yes.
who I worked with his girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jenny. He is also an actor.
Who did Congress yesterday, right?
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He just testified as a special witness on a congressional hearing about the creative economy, and it was so inspiring. I'm so in awe of his advocacy for the arts because, as you know, the pandemic.
Be an arts hero is the handle, right?
Yeah. Be an arts hero, Arts Workers United, and they are really an amazing group of people who are just trying to raise awareness that the arts are in peril right now, given the pandemic. I mean, the arts are always at a state of flux because of funding and grants and whatnot. And the pandemic has wiped out a lot of, vital arts organizations.
Particularly theater. I mean,
God,
right now, I
yeah.
mean, it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a question of like, is it ever going to come back?
I
So
know. And when you think it is, right? When you
Yeah.
think it is, it's like, oh, now
That's my
there's a
survival
variant.
job. I bartend on Broadway.
Oh, my
So I'm so fucked right now.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
part of what
Yeah.
Carson was saying is that all of the restaurants and all of the parking garages.
Actually,
everything.
don't stalk me. I don't bartend on Broadway.
No. You're like no. You're like but no, it's like everything's affected
Yeah.
when the theater is affected.
Yeah.
Everything around it, So it is hard times. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah, Carson and I grew up in Topeka.
Older or younger?
He's older.
Okay.
I'm the younger sister. And then I went to
Parents artists or no?
no, both lawyers. My mom's a law professor. My dad was in law, so I was kind of heading in that direction. I majored in political science in college, and I was really kind of set to maybe
Where'd you go
follow
undergrad?
Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois.
Wow.
It's one of the sites of the 5th Lincoln Douglas debate.
Okay.
Beautiful campus, liberal arts, tiny, like 1,200 students.
Yeah.
But one of the first colleges to, accept BIPOC and women, and I just it's such a cool school. I really had a great experience there, and I was able to still pursue theater even though I was majoring in political science. It's not one of those like huge schools where it's like once you pick this, there's no going back. You know, so I was able to. I always found myself running over when auditions were happening to try and audition because I couldn't not do that. I was always drawn to the stage. I was drawn to the theater. So
when did the theater bug start to ignite for you?
I've always loved the theater.
That's
and,
yours, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I've always loved the theater, and my mom took us to see plays and musicals growing up. I went to like theater camp and that stuff. But I always just never really thought of it as a profession until I got to college. And then I had some really wonderful teachers there. Liz Carlin Metz and Doc Bob, Ivan Davidson, people who just really believed in me. And they said, you really could pursue that. You could make this a profession if you wanted to. And I guess I...
How old were you when they were telling you this?
I mean, 22.
Yeah.
And so then I started to think about it, and I was talking to my mom because I was going to go to law school, and she said, you can always go back to law school. You don't have to, she's like, I have a lot of non-traditional students who are in their 40s, 50s that go to law school. And she's like, why don't you go after the thing that makes your heart sing, and what makes your heart, catch fire. And so I was like, well, that's theater and that's acting. And so then once I made that decision, I was like, well, I need training. So I auditioned for grad schools, and then I got into Juilliard, and I got into NYU, and I was like, okay, this is my path.
On your first go?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, this is it. And Carson had gone to NYU. So
he already did his MFA.
Yeah, he was on his way out, and that's the reason I applied there. Is I had seen how he had grown over his time there, as an actor. He always has natural comic ability. He's very, and he's an amazing performer. But I also watched him grow, and I thought, oh God, that's what I need. I need something that's going to help me flourish in that way. So, and NYU just seemed really kind of ragtag, at Juilliard is amazing and an incredible program, but it's it's Lincoln Center, it's like the red carpets, the gorgeous chandeliers, and NYU, it's like one floor with
I
dirty,
went there.
dirty ass wood floors, like doors slamming left and right, people running down the hall screaming. I was like a bunch of Muppets. I was like, this seems like this is my jam. So I ended up going.
Turned down Juilliard. Wow, that's a first for this podcast.
Listen, I mean, I'm sure I would have had an amazing experience there, but I really just was drawn to NYU. And the people who had come from NYU were people that I was, Marcia Gay Harden and, Billy Crudup and Mahershala.
Yeah, totally.
I just, they're
Was that Ron Van Loo days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, my God. Talk about amazing teachers.
Do you remember what pieces you did?
Oh, gosh. I mean, one particular one that I remember is with Shane McRae. We did Cowboy Mouth, and I played the Patti Smith character to his Sam Shepard, and that's when they locked themselves in the Chelsea Hotel and wrote that. Wow. And so I remember doing that, and it was really funny. I feel like when we first did the scene, we were really finding some stuff, and then Ron gave us some stuff to work on, and then we went and we completely just lost it. We ended up going down the wrong direction. We were just we came in and he was like, what was that? You guys, no, that's not what I was. And we were like, ah. And then just so happened that Patti Smith happened to be playing some school down in Gramercy area or whatever. And so Shane and I got tickets. We went to see Patti Smith play, and I was like, oh, okay. I suddenly had a different kind of idea of how to channel things. I mean, I wasn't trying to be Patti Smith in this, but I just knew that she had helped write this and had been this kind of muse for Sam Shepard in this way. They wrote it together. So after seeing her perform, I was like, oh, okay, all right. And then we went back in and had a more successful attempt.
That's amazing. Who was in your group at NYU?
I had Corey Stoll.
Oh, Corey's great.
Shane McRae, Susan Kalechi Watson, Josie Whittlesey, Sujin Kim, Taylor White. I had such an amazing group of people, and there were 17 of us or 18 of us that stayed the whole time, which is kind of a rare thing.
So how many? Only one or two fell out?
No, none.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the whole crew stayed through the whole time.
And was that a good experience?
Oh, and Rashad Ernesto Green, who's an amazing filmmaker. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, what?
Was that a great experience?
Yeah, amazing.
From law to that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because I had just been focusing on political science and I really needed 3 years to just kind of dive into, what my body can do, how my voice sounds, just my investigating. And I felt like we were able to really do that as a group, and it was great. It was a really informative and life-changing experience for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm so
it was
glad
great.
you had that.
Yeah, me
and
too.
you were super happy with the training.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. I mean, I was given an opportunity to play a bunch of different roles, everything from like a kid to like an older lady. And I mean, I felt like I really was given a lot to work on and like challenged. I was definitely challenged. And I feel very fortunate that I had such a wonderful group of people to play with.
Do you feel like you got to experience New York because that program is so intense?
Yeah, to be honest, not a ton. I mean, because you are there from basically 8 a.m. until 10 p.m., almost like 8 days a week, basically. So I didn't get an opportunity to, see a ton or explore a ton. But with the program, we got to go places as a group and do different things. And of course, like just the walk. I lived in the East Village, so walking over to NYU from the East Village, just daily walking, and I got to explore the village and that whole area.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
And so then, what was your as you're there, you kind of always prepare for the showcase.
Yes.
What did you have an idea of like what you wanted to stay in New York, go to LA, like what?
I really was kind of open. I was in a relationship at the time that we had been doing long distance, and so he was kind of leaning towards LA for his program, and so I ended up going to LA immediately after graduating. So I didn't even stick around New York. So I went to LA and then I was in LA for a few years and I did some national commercials and ended up working at the, funnily enough, I moved to LA and ended up working at the Old Globe. Like I was like,
oh, really?
Oh yeah, I'm going to move to LA and do Shakespeare. Yep, that seems right. Okay. So
that's amazing.
So I did that's where I got my equity contract, was doing basically a 6-month contract at the Old Globe, doing The Jailer's Daughter, directed by Darko Tresniak. It was great. It was a really cool production. So then I was there. Yeah.
And was that a good experience, LA? Because it can be pretty daunting.
Yeah. I think if you have a group of people that you really love and, that are artistic and are in the business for, I don't even know what the right reasons are, but are just, I think LA is. I liked LA. I liked living there. Yeah. I liked. I didn't mind driving around. I grew up in Kansas, driving around everywhere, so the traffic didn't really bother me. But I think it's harder. You don't have the same community as you do here. Like here, you can't escape people. Like you can't get in a car. I mean, you can, but and there's something really like frustrating but also really inspiring about daily interactions with people on the streets of New York, whereas in LA you don't really have that so much. I mean, you don't have, and there are like bodegas and there's little places that you can get to know your neighbors, but I feel like New York gives me a different kind of artistic fuel than I had in LA. But that said, I enjoyed my time there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you get rep out of the showcase?
I did. I got a manager, and I think she was a little confused by me. I did 2 scenes. I did one, Martin McDonough, Lieutenant of Inishmore. Anyway, and I played like an young Irish girl. And then the other scene I did was one I wrote with my friend, and it was a really funny one. And so I think the manager really kind of wanted to push me more kind of in a Saturday Night Live kind of like sitcom world. And
like
that's
Jenny
fine.
Slate.
Yes, exactly. Which I totally I love, and that's a muscle that I can work, and I enjoy comedic projects, but I also was wanting some more stuff. So I basically worked with her for a couple of years, and then she was just like, did not really know what to do with me, and was just like, maybe if you dye your hair, or maybe if you get some surgery, like maybe you can. I know, no, it's like brutal. And I just remember getting off the phone being like, well, I guess maybe if I get surgery, then maybe people will hire me. No, it's so terrible. So I was like, oh God. And that's when I met Alan Rickman, was right after that, because I was so just devastated. And then David Kapp here in New York brought me in to audition for Alan's one-woman show. My name is Rachel Corrie.
Did he tell you who it show?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, right. And I just remember being like, oh sure, yeah, I'd love to go fall on my face and unrepresented in front of fucking Alan Rickman. That sounds great. Yeah, sure, let's do that. And then I really worked on it. And then I went in, and Alan just really got me. You know, he just is like, I know, you know, I see what you're trying to do. Like and he became one of my biggest mentors after that. So
what was the audition experience like? Do you remember what it decides or?
You know, yeah, I mean, because it was a one-woman show. They had already done it in New York. They were bringing over Megan, who had done it originally, and I was going to be taking over like the weekends and then eventually taking over. So she was going to start the run, and then I ended up taking it over from her. And so it was all monologue. So I just remember he really just was sitting at the table, and I just sat at the table with him, and he said, just read the monologue with me. And so I just read the monologue, and, you know, he gave me some notes and we worked on it, but it was very intimate and very it wasn't like presentational, like stand up and do it. It was like, let's sit at the table together and find this. It was great. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And was he cool? Was he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was a wonderful human, and so benevolent and generous, and wanting to like help me and wanting to help all of his actor friends, and really invested in me, you know. And I mean, the last time I saw him, he got on a train to come out to Red Bank, New Jersey, to see me in a play. You know, he got on the frickin' train to come out and watch me in a show, and that was like the last time I saw him.
So beautiful.
Yeah, and he stood there back with us because it was our closing performance, and he was like, well, I guess I need to get out there and see it, you know. And I was like, yeah, you better come, Alan, because it's closing. And so, you know, or it's ending, and so he came out, and so he stood back there. I didn't want to tell anyone that he was coming because I didn't want anyone, you know, to be nervous or I don't know. And so afterwards, he was just backstage, and everyone in the show was just like, is that fucking Alan? Oh my God, is that Alan Rickman? You know, and so he stood there with us as we have our little champagne toast, and he was so funny. He said something like, because Carson was in the show too. That was like the first show that Carson and I had been in together, and we played bumbling idiot servants in a Moliere School for Wives. With Pippa Sue and Robert Stanton and Corey Jackson. I mean, it was such a fun production. And I remember Alan afterwards being like, it seems like you and Carson are very much people who have to get out on stage. Like you are, you know, you're chomping at the bit. You're like backstage just, and he was like, unlike me, who's just wanting to run back to the dressing room. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I think that's an accurate description. He was like, you guys seem hungry to be out on the stage, whereas I'm like, on stage terrified, just wanting to be in the safety of my dressing room.
That's hilarious.
I know. He's so sweet.
And so then, you know, obviously that production made you stay in New York.
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, at that time, I think I was in Boston at the time. So I've only been back in New York officially and like at home base for the last 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I basically went from LA to Boston, Boston to Kansas City, back to Boston, back to Kansas City. And then Kansas City was where I reestablished myself really as an actor, an artist, after a long time of kind of not working, kind of self-doubt, thinking, I don't know.
Like repertory theater work?
Yeah, just at the Kansas City, the KC Rep is the big equity theater there. And I had been cast in something in a local Shakespeare at the Heartland of America Shakespeare Festival. And while I was there, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And so I ended up staying. And she's great. She's in remission. But at the time, I was like, well, this is where I need to be. You know, this is where my life, this is where I should be and I want to be. And so, but in that, I ended up, you know, finding these art makers in Kansas City who really liked my work and gave me some challenging stuff. And Marissa Wolf and Eric Rose and people who really just loved what I was doing. And so I kind of got my mojo back a little bit in Kansas City. And then I started to get really like, well, I want to grow more. And so I got into the Actors Center and I started doing classes. And I kind of was jumping back and forth from Kansas City to New York. And then I got cast at Shakespeare in the Park and Coriolanus. And I was like, I need to move back. Like I can't. Carson's like, you're the only person I know who has been cast in Shakespeare in the Park, and you're home based in Kansas City. He was
That's
like,
so funny.
So then I told Carson, I was like, well, you know how you have that room in Bushwick that's just there, you know? Hey, cool, I'm gonna move into that.
So you guys are really close.
Yes, we're like best friends. So I moved in with him. I just recently moved out, but I was there. It was a very easy place to just hop into, and so we lived together in Bushwick and.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then when you got back here, did you have to reestablish your self-representation?
Yeah. Well, and of course, right when I got back was when the pandemic started.
No.
So it was like, I got back here, I was like, New York, I'm back. And they're like, boo. Like everything's unplugged, closed.
I identify with that on such an iconic level.
Oh my God.
So were you doing did you get rep or?
Well, no. So then I was scheduled to do a show at Portland Center Stage. So I was out at Portland Center Stage when the pandemic struck, I guess. And then that stopped. And so I was out in Portland. I was kind of just like staying put for a while because Carson was like, New York is in trouble. And I have asthma. And at the time we thought asthma was like one of the big, so he was like, if you can stay put, just stay put, we'll figure it out. So I was in Portland by myself for several months. And that's when I got the call about Red Rocket.
Wow. And how did you know Sean?
I went to NYU with Sammy Kwan, who is an amazing actor and a producer on Red Rocket, and she's also partners with Sean Baker. And so she called me and said that they were supposed to go to Canada to film another project, and then of course the pandemic, they had to pivot, and so they wanted to do a smaller budget passion project of Sean's that he was working on with Chris, and so that's kind of how it came to be. And she's like, I was working out this morning and we're trying to figure out who would be right for this. And she's like, I dropped my barbell and was like, Bree Elrod. I just think Bree would be perfect for this role. And she's like, can you put
she studied acting at NYU?
Yeah, she studied acting. Wow. She was a couple classes ahead of me. But we were always friends there. So anyway, basically, she gave me a Marsha Norman monologue to work on because they didn't have things quite figured out yet. They were still working on the script. And so I worked on it really like a long time and then put myself on tape. And then I sent it to Sam and a couple
during the pandemic.
Yes, during the middle of the pandemic when I was having an existential crisis about everything. What is my purpose in the world, And what do we do if we can't get together and share art and so then I was hungry for any kind of opportunity to work on anything. So even just getting this audition, I was like, yes, I can't wait, And so then I submitted it, and then a couple hours later, she's like, Sean watched it and was like, that's Lexi, that's it.
So amazing. So before we dig into Red Rocket, I got to ask, because going from Boston to KC to LA, back to KC, back to Boston, where, because obviously the show is a lot about struggle. How did you not, because everyone in this business, especially NYU, Corey Stoll, doing Ant-Man and other people
amazing
are, doing backyard Shakespeare theater. And it makes no sense. No. There's no reason. There's no meritocracy. How did you, Bree, stay buoyed and connected? And
I think I stayed buoyed and realizing that the way I was going to stay in the business was going to have to be more self-generating and was going to have to be relying less on other people to give me opportunities and trying to create my own, whatever that looked like, whether it meant even just, I'm not an amazing guitarist, but I love writing songs. So even if I could write a song or even, and Alan was very supportive of that too, just pouring yourself into something creative where you don't feel like you're just waiting for something to come to you, My God, it's the worst. And you just
kills you.
And I was talking to a dear friend of mine who's a visual artist, and I was trying to explain to him, I'm like, you are so lucky because you can go down into your studio and just paint and just you don't have to have somebody be like, paint this,
it's
here
Bree's
you go.
Turn.
It's and so I think when I realized that I had a bit more agency over my art, that's what kind of kept me going. And I just wanted to be creative in some way, even if it meant that I was doing side gigs, but I was writing a song on the side, or I was doing a side hustle, but somebody wanted me to do a play reading. I was like, yes, So I think I just tried to find moments of creation, amidst all of the self-doubt and questions and all of that,
Oh, that's beautiful. And are you a writer other than, songwriting?
No, mostly just songwriting. I mean, I like writing, and I like writing poems and plays, but I'm not focusing on it or anything. So.
And having a brother who's in the business, Do you feel like that helps because you have someone, that's literally related to you and you can vent and go off of and have advice? Because, like, when you're alone, it's like, the fuck am I doing out here? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And then the people who aren't in the business are like, what are you doing?
It's
You're
not
so
cute.
miserable between gigs.
Oh,
what is going on?
Yeah.
No, Carson's been such a source of inspiration and support. And we can, tell each other like, oh, you have this audition. Oh, they just gave it to somebody else. Oh, that's great. Oh, you have that, we get it, And so there's a, there's definitely a sense of, yep, I know what you're going through.
Totally.
And that's really nice to have. And he's also like such an amazing reader. Like anytime I have an audition, I'm like, Carson, can you read with me? And because he's just such a great, he's and he coaches me, so it's like the best. So like if
Do you coach him?
Well, I don't know. I mean, when he asks, I don't, I'm the little sister.
Yeah.
I don't want, but yeah, I definitely,
was he at your audition?
For what?
For NYU.
Oh, no, I don't think he was.
He was at mine.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he gave me a call back and, Mark.
Oh my gosh. That is so funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I do remember there being people because he was in the program at the time when you.
I did undergrad. I took a few years off. I'm 5 years sober.
Okay.
And I was like,
awesome.
I was still very much in addiction.
Oh,
I did a rap. And your brother was like, oh, that's cool.
Yes, that seems right.
Go in.
And
then, and Mark Wing Davey and Janet, who, run the program or did, I don't know if they still do.
No, not anymore.
They were like, I did this awesome monologue from this play. And I see awesome writing, not me.
Sure.
But I felt really good about it. And they were like, cool. Can you sing? And I was like, no, I'm not a singer. And they were like, yeah, we're not a singing school, you know. So I proceeded to do Santa Fe from Newsies. And I just, as I saw their face, it just went,
No. Oh, no. I'm sure. Oh,
yeah.
no.
But thank you, brother, for the call.
Oh, I will. I certainly will.
Yeah.
Wait, do you still remember the rap?
Oh,
I was like, can you do a few beats?
I don't remember it, but let me tell you, I was, I never admitted this on the air, but I was 3 weeks sober and I relapsed at my grad school auditions.
Oh,
yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about high
This is my first time doing it. I had no one, and I literally 3 weeks. But this is before I was in the program or whatever. And then the night before, I was like, it'd be fun to be a little bit looser doing these.
Oh God!
And let me say, Juilliard got a.
They got quite an audition. Yeah. Oh my God!
Yeah, but oh man, speaking of drinking, so that world of Red Rocket, did you get the script and did you know where it was going and what the idea was of it?
Yeah, I got the script before, and reading it, I said, okay, this is a hard world. There's a lot going on here, and especially the addiction. And Sean kind of played around with what drug he wanted for them to be in their world. And at first it was meth, and then it was, a different kind of heroin. And then he really settled on the Chasing the Dragon heroin, which is where you smoke.
For her.
Yeah. For her.
Yeah.
For Lexi. So of course I tried to study as much as I could and watch.
Without doing it.
I mean, I didn't want to go all Daniel Day on that kind of situation.
Oh, his son was just here.
Oh, really? That's so funny.
Yeah.
So I did not go that far, but I definitely watched a lot on it. I did some research. I tried to figure out kind of what the how it's done. So that was educational. I had never seen that before. I'd never heard of it. I'd always thought heroin was just in the veins, just kind of needles, and it's not. So that was interesting. And I think Sean, it was very important to Sean to highlight that there's a line in the film where Mikey sees them doing it in the backyard, and he says something like "great life choices," you know. And she comes in and she says they cut her pain meds in half. You fucking asshole.
I remember that.
And Sean really wanted to highlight that, a lot of these people end up getting into this because of pain and because of like chronic pain and opioid crisis in the country and addiction, and that this isn't something that's just these people are down and out and they're just, trying to get high a lot of people who have pain, and we met people in the community who this was their story, where they had been on pain pills and then their pain pills were cut or they were no more. And then they ended up getting into heroin to relieve themselves of like extreme back pain or extreme, so I think there's a lot of levels to addiction. And I wanted to, honor that journey. Yeah.
I think the world is doing hopefully something better where they don't do that to people anymore legally, because
I hope not.
I have seen that. But I mean, when you tapped into that darkness to balance the tone of that movie, because there's humor to it. Was that tough for you?
I think you need it. I mean, I think the moments of levity really stand out, and kind of right when you think that it's really dark, like like the moment where Lexi is saying that she wants her kid back, or she's telling him that she wants to maybe try to get her son back, and then she immediately shuts it down and just starts smoking. Like I think that there are several moments like that in the film where it goes from like kind of a gut punch to oh fuck it, whatever. Yeah. And I think you need that kind of like dismissal of it in order to keep going, and that's what we have to do as humans when we have these like horrific or trauma in our lives, like denial or moving into the next moment, or like I didn't want to do it anyway, or oh that's care. I think that it's a very human instinct that when something is really hard, you kind of just turn away and make a joke about it, or
totally,
whatever you can do to get through it.
And did you know Simon beforehand?
No. Wow. I mean, I knew of him. I, of course, Googled him and was like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
And of course, then I looked up Dirt Nasty and Mickey Avalon, and I was like, oh yeah. So like, I had those moments. But I didn't really know him, I hadn't followed him, and I knew he was a VJ, but I don't remember, so we were just kind of showing up, sight unseen, just hopeful that each other were going to be fun and interesting and engaging scene partners. And I lucked out because he's wonderful.
Was there much of a rehearsal process?
No. No, because there was just, it was such a short amount of time that we had, and everything was so precarious. Right when they went to scout locations, there was a hurricane, so they had to go back to LA. And then we were driving down from Pennsylvania, me and Shi Ching and I, and who's a producer and also plays the donut shop owner in the film. We were driving down from New York, and then there was a call about Sean had a a positive test, and then we turned around. I mean, like I said, it is amazing that this thing was even made.
How many weeks?
We were there, I think it was about 27 days we filmed.
So like a month.
Yeah, about a month. So finally, when we got there, we didn't really have a ton of time to like sit around a table and like talk about like, now when your character does it. No, it was like we did one afternoon of rehearsing that first scene, because we knew that was going to be where we started. And so I think Sean wanted to go through it a couple of times to kind of get a feel for what's their history, and can we see a little bit of that in there, and what are the colors of this relationship, and why doesn't she immediately just say get the fuck out? Like, why does she walks to him. I think that's kind of an amazing opening, that she doesn't shut the door and just be like fuck you, you hear her little flip-flops walking to him. There is something about this man she's drawn to, and so so we rehearsed it a few times, and then we had to do it the next day. So it was really just kind of diving in head first and hoping for the best. And we really, like I said, I think we were really lucky that we were both so open and game and willing to play. And Simon was just so generous. He's such a generous actor that it was really fun to find their relationship with him. Yeah.
Did it fly by, 27 days?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was interesting. It was so fun watching it because, I hadn't seen any of Susie's stuff, because we have one scene together. We have the donut shop scene, but like, we're not even, we have like minimal interaction. Yeah. But it was so fun to watch it, because there were days that I was like, well, I guess I'll go and like lay on the beach in Galveston, because, it's like still COVID. I'm not going to go to like hang out inside anywhere. So like those are the days that Susie was filming, and they're like, "Oh, we're doing this roller coaster shot, and we're doing this," and I was like, "Oh, have fun. Okay, I'll see you guys later." You know, like
Totally.
So it was kind of a surreal, So on those days, it felt a little bit more, like, oh, this is, I'm filming, but I'm not filming. I'm like I'm here on location, and it was really funny because I didn't really tell anyone, many people, that I was doing that. And so just on my Instagram, it just looked like I went on vacation by myself in Galveston in the middle of the pandemic. And people are like,
funny.
What the hell are you doing in Texas?
Could you not say? Did Sean ask to?
I think it was a little bit because it was, so precarious and low budget, and also just like
DIY.
Yes, yeah. It was we were kind of like trying to be mindful of all that, and we didn't want to just alert anyone. We kind of just wanted to be, and we also just didn't know if we'd be able to, finish it because of, So when we wrapped, it was like, oh my gosh, we did it. Wow. We fucking did it.
Congratulations. It's so amazing.
You.
And then
thank you.
Talk to me about sitting, how long was the turnaround between when you guys shot the last frame to festival?
I mean, I think we've shot the last frame in October of 2020. So then we got the news of the festival, I would say, I want to say like March or April maybe, or maybe even, no, maybe, yeah.
Of 21.
Of 21.
Okay.
And then we were in Cannes in the beginning of June, I think, of 2021. And that kicked off a year of like going to festivals and stuff.
And because of the secrecy, were you able to flex that into reps and other ones? Or?
I ended at the end of the festival circuit. I had met with a few people. Like I really was really conscious that I wanted people to have seen the film before signing with someone. I had a couple people reach out who were like, "I heard you're great."
Speculation.
Yeah, and they're like, "You're in a Sean Baker film," and I'm like, "Yeah, but did you see it? Do you know what I do?" You know. And so I really was and because just given I've been in this business for so long, I was not in a rush. Like, okay, well, I immediately need to have someone. Like, I was kind of
appreciate that about you. That's so the opposite of where the business is right now.
Well, where people feel like this pressure to be like,
entitled to it. Yeah.
No, I was like, well, I haven't had one for frickin', like over almost 10 years. So like, why am I rushing now?
It was 10 years without a rep.
Oh yeah. No, I've always been repped by, well, not always, but on and off by Tracy Goldblum at Abrams, and she's now KMR. And so she's always been my commercial when I am in New York.
Is she still doing commercial?
Yeah, she's still at KMR. She's still there. She's amazing. So she's always looked out for me. But like as far as like legit, no, I hadn't had representation in years. So, like I said, it gave me a little bit of just like okay, let's see what comes up from this. And then I ended up signing with Anonymous Content.
Was
which is great.
Part of Bree that like would have been totally fulfilled doing the repertory theater life?
I mean, I hope to still do theater, and I love the theater.
Broadway needs you.
Yeah, listen, I want to go.
Yeah.
But I loved working on this film so much that it kind of ignited a new love for wanting to learn about film and film acting and filmmaking. Like I just was, and the fact that this was shot on film, and that was so special. And I remember Simon saying to me, like, Bree, this is a really rare thing that we're getting an opportunity to improvise on film. Like we have so few shots. Yeah. Like you really can't just do 500 takes. It's on film, so like you're always taking it out, putting it in the can. The guy goes into the van, puts it in the thing. It's like it was so fascinating as an art form to learn, and now I'm just like craving doing more. Even if it's not film, but like I want to do more film. I want to learn more about it. So I hope to always do. And to your point, would I have been happy doing that? I think so, because it's what I've known, and I'm filled by it. I love the art of getting around a table and uncovering a character and doing research and finding out what makes a person tick. But this was such a different beast, and it was such a different challenge as an artist that it just made me hungry for more.
Do you feel like that was your film school, so to speak, like taught by Sean Baker?
Yeah,
one of the,
absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was like filmmaking 101. I mean, I was watching the whole time. I was like watching in between takes. I was watching how things were got. I was watching him direct other people. I mean, unfortunately, most of my scenes were just like,
Does he have a
in the house.
DP or no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Drew Daniel, who is amazing. But yeah, he was really such a fascinating director, and I really enjoyed. He's so collaborative, and he's so interested in your opinion. He's so interested in, but he also has his own, ideas of what needs to be done, and I really respected him, and I respect him as an artist, and I respect his eye. And because he edits it, I mean, he edits the entire thing himself. And so he's editing as he's filming, and you can just see like that he's like, oh, I'm going to do a cut there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And so it really was such an incredible experience to work with him and watch him, and to like work with Simon too, who, has done a lot more film than I have. So
yeah. But you're incredible in that. You're so electric.
Oh,
thank you. I'm so proud of you, Bree.
Thank
you. Like, you deserve the best. And
thank you.
Thanks, couple final questions. I'm curious. A lot of people can get caught up in the fame bullshit, especially like something that has like so many awards and is in the mix for that. You seem so unfazed by that, and I love that. How have you tactically just stayed away from it, or play like? Because it's just it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, and I had a moment, and I remember, I think I reached out to Carson. It was a moment where I arrived in LA, and I checked into my hotel, and the hotel was like, provided by A24.
Yeah.
It was this gorgeous hotel, in Hollywood. And I opened the door, and soon there was a knock on the door, and it was just boxes that were sent by my stylist of like amazing outfits to try on for like the premiere, or like, one of the big events in LA. And I was like, I sat there in the room, like looking out, and I just like started crying and was like, not all days are like this.
Yeah.
Like, this is a very cool moment in my life. Not all moments will be like this in my life, but I'm gonna savor this moment. And so I think that's the way I've kind of gotten through it, is that I've recognized it for what it is. Like, I'm gonna appreciate that I have a stylist right now to give me some baller ass outfits for these things, and I'm gonna love it. But I'm also gonna know that maybe next year I'm gonna be back at L Train Vintage looking for most of my clothes. Yeah. And so I think that it's just like kind of also just knowing that it's all kind of, it's all a show, and what really fills me this year, what has been the most fun, is just sharing it, sharing this piece of art that I'm really proud of, that I'm proud of everyone in this. I'm proud of Susie for, being so vulnerable and open to trying things. I'm proud of Simon for taking the fall in some of those scenes that are so gut-wrenching. I'm proud of all the first-time actors that are doing work that is so out of their comfort zone. I mean, so to me, the beauty of, all of the stuff and the awards and everything is just that we get to share it, That feels so special.
Oh, that's so amazing. What an incredible answer. And I'm just... Wow. Thank you.
Of course.
And, I'm curious, what kind of work do you want to do now? Now that you probably have some flexibility in what you can do, like, what's interesting to you?
Porn. What if I was like, that's it. Red Rocket really just got me into the porn industry. So I just want to do hardcore porn. I really I want to do projects that have a point of view, that have passion, that have something that makes people talk. I mean, that's been really one of the most fun parts of this experience, is that, there are some divisive and certainly triggering themes in this, but it's getting people to talk. And I love that people are like leaving the theater being like, what was that? Yeah. Or what did I just see? Or what was that ending about? And so, God, if I could find more ways to do film or television that had, some more themes and elements that made people talk about things, that would be, I would feel so lucky. So yeah, I really really want to do more, film. Really.
Do you have anything you can announce yet? Or?
No, not right now. Soon coming. But I did a few days on a new Rachel Lambert film that Daisy Ridley is producing and starring in, and it was filmed in the fall in Astoria, Oregon, and it's going to be really, really good and dark and interesting, and yeah, so I'm excited about that to come out next year. So
that's so rad. Yeah. And I got to ask, for all the actors out there, the young Brees, what advice would you have, for, I mean, I know that's such a fucking loaded question,
yeah, but it's true. I mean, I guess my biggest advice is just kind of stay true to who you are and challenge yourself, find ways to stay creative in the times in which you feel like you're not getting opportunities and whatever that means to you. And to really, it sounds so cliche to like say, I guess maybe, take ownership of your uniqueness, So like really just double down on like, this is who I am, and I'm not going to change who I am to fit into something that may be more castable. Like I'm going to just stay who I am. And of course I will challenge myself and try to, do different things. But like this is me. And that's part of what's going to get me the jobs, is that this is me and there's only one me.
I love that. Bree Elrod. This was incredible. Thank you from the
you.
bottom of my heart
of
for
course.
being here.
Thanks for having me.
Next project, come back.
I would love to.
And we'll break it down more. And I'm just so excited. And it's going to be amazing. Like it's just getting started for you. And the best is yet to come.
Thanks, Ryan.
And enjoy it, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So much love.
Thank you.